Agro-industry is no rural idyll. Numbers dictate, cold and hard. Industrial pig breeders calculate in cents. They focus on driving down costs. The market wants cheap pork. The result? Mother sows and piglets suffer. They lie in furrowing crates. That's all the space they get. Space costs money. There are often more piglets than the sow has teats. It's a problem. All the more so because the greater the numbers of piglets, the higher the risk of animals being born weak and malnourished. Dying happens slowly. The curious and attentive siblings catch on. Scratches and bite marks on the dead body. Marks of a cruel and protracted death. Everyday reality in industrial pig farms. Dead piglets in the bin. One cause of all this suffering is a hormone, PMSG. This fertility hormone is used systematically on many breeding farms to synchronize piglet births. For the industrial process, synchronized births mean synchronized stabling, fattening and slaughtering. Industrial efficiency. Pork chops need to stay cheap. Approval processes for the PMSG drug Fixplan have been underway in a number of EU member states since 2021. The marketing authorization holder is the Irish company Sint Vet Pharma Ireland Limited. The manufacturer of Fixplan is the Argentinian company Syntex that states on its website, PMSG is used for the induction and synchronization of estrus to shorten the period between farrowing. Fixplan is already being used in Germany. In March 2022, we visit Syntex Blood Farm in Argentina. This is where blood is taken from thousands of pregnant mares, including for the production of Fixplan. We've visited regularly since 2015. Our investigations have led to 4 out of 5 pharmaceutical companies stopping imports of PMSG from South America to the EU. That's why Syntex now sells its Fixplan product directly in the EU, supported by European distribution partners. We've come at the right moment. The pens in front of the blood collection hall are full. The pregnant mares stand closely packed beneath the blazing sun. No water, no shade. Gauchos and workers drive the horses around. They brandish whips in the air, strike the ground with them and crack them at the horses. It's chaos. The mares are frightened. None of them wants to enter the blood collection hall. Some of the horses in the crowd are injured and lame. No consideration is given to them. They should be receiving treatment, but their blood is wanted. Inside the hall are raceways and restraint boxes. These shots from 2018 show why the mares are so afraid. Horses don't forget. The blood hall is remembered for its trauma. Some horses submit. They've given up all resistance. Some try to fight. It's futile. Liters of their blood will flow into the plastic buckets. It contains red gold, the PMSG hormone. There's an abortion pen on the premises. Foals are systematically aborted around the 110th day of pregnancy. This allows the mares to conceive twice a year, which means more profit. These mares have had their abortions induced. Some fetuses are already lying on the ground. In 2018, Syntex launched a trial in which about 100 mares had no abortions. Syntex did not say what happened to the foals. The trial didn't result in abortions being stopped. Even today, 4 years later, there are no foals among the blood mare herds. After their blood has been extracted, the mares are back outside the blood hall, unprotected and uncared for. Exhausted after losing around 10 liters of blood, they stand in the blazing sun. They try to drive away insects with their tails, which have been cut off. It's no use. Eventually, they're driven on by a gaucho. Again, no consideration for lame horses. They receive no veterinary care. They just have to run with the others. Being lame hurts. We spent the next few days looking for the Syntex blood mares. We want to know what state they're in. We find several groups in a huge area with no shelter from the weather. They're easy to identify. There are clearly visible puncture marks made on the neck by the thick cannulas. 4 figure numbers are also branded into their fur. A painful procedure, forbidden in Germany. The company claims on its website, at Syntex, PMSG is obtained in compliance with the highest quality and animal welfare standards. We asked an expert about the conditions of the mares. This mare has injuries on the left front leg and the right hind leg. Her movements suggest severe pain. She is standing in a small group. 5 of these 7 mares have serious injuries. Their wounds are clearly uncared for. Puncture marks can be seen on the neck. The blood extraction would have been no more than 1 or 2 days ago. In my estimation, blood was taken from this horse in this condition. This young blood mare has a severe injury to her right hind leg. Her physical condition is poor. There's no visible evidence to suggest that the animal has received veterinary care. The mare is also badly nourished. A gaping wound is very visible. The mare displays pronounced pain in the face. Lameness is a clear sign of pain. We leave Argentina for Uruguay. We know of 4 blood farms there: La Paloma, Syntex Uruguay, Las Marquesas and Biomega. We've been watching these blood farms for years. The owner of the La Paloma blood farm is Roberto Milos. He's a blood farmer and breeder. He also exports his Criollo horses to Europe. Signs say that entry is prohibited. In Uruguay, firearms may now be used against uninvited visitors. We continue to the Loma Azul blood farm belonging to Syntex. The gate to the blood farm is closed and locked. We come across a large herd of blood mares on the road. There were Syntex blood mares in the forest until recently, hidden away from prying eyes, far from public roads. Scattered in the forest are bones, testimony to anguished deaths. PMSG is one of the most expensive powders there is. It costs more than drugs. Documents from Uruguayan customs show Syntex exports. In February 2022, 87 grams of PMSG powder were exported for around $1 million. France is the destination for further distribution in the EU. In March 2022, it's 110 grams for just under $1.5 million. Again for the EU. 6 days later, the next batch for the EU. Another 110 grams for $1.5 million. The Las Marquesas blood farm has been closed down. It was owned by veterinarian and university professor Fernando Perdigon. His license was rescinded by the Ministry of Agriculture because of the things we published. Not so Biomega blood farm near the town of Melo. It's owned by veterinarian Martin Bocking. We've been there multiple times. Multiple times we are asked to leave by the police and workers, Biomega is state subsidized. There's no explanation for why this blood farm has not also been closed. In 2018, we showed just how cruelly blood farmer Martin Bocking squeezes red gold out of his blood mares. Here's a reminder. Deliberate, systematic violence, not just by some workers, by all of them. Martin Bocking is quoted in a scientific study. Where considerable differences in feed availability and intake occur, overall PMSG production is invariably higher in leaner years, where the mares are in light to poor condition in early gestation. It's March 2021 and we're there with a team. We find a group of blood mares on a small hill. We approach on foot. The mares are too thin. It's intentional. It means a bigger PMSG harvest, just as blood farmer Bocking thinks best. We approach the building. Hidden, the blood farm is running. We watch the horses being driven erratically and unprofessionally. That hasn't changed in all these years. Blood mares are in the paddock. Some are injured, again, as always. Bocking has no regard for injured horses. Mares that have been bled stand exhausted and uncared for in the searing sun. They have to wait until the last mare is through the process. Instead of receiving rest and mineral feed, they are driven to distant pastures. We follow out of sight. This mare looks alright. She seems to have been bled for the first time, but the thick cannulous puncture wound is clearly visible. This mare has had many extractions, as shown by the scarred and inflamed punctures on her neck. We visit Biomega Blood Farm again in December 2021. We want to see the consequences of blood farmer Bocking's statement that malnourished horses have more PMSG in their blood. Intentional undernourishment is there on the pastures to see. Scrub and dry residual grass, interspersed by a few dirty water holes. Nothing more is provided. The mares remain a maximum of 7 days before being bled again. Whatever grows here has to suffice. We find many emaciated mares. Sometimes it takes just weeks for a mare's condition to deteriorate from good to bad. We asked an expert about the condition of the mares. Pregnancy can be misleading. The mares have clearly protruding bones. These robust horse breeds actually cope well with meager rations, provided they are not put under any other stress. But because they are constantly pregnant and they have non-physiological amounts of blood extracted, the mares quickly run up an energy deficit. Because their blood keeps being extracted, the already weakened mares become emaciated, suffer from anemia and deficiency diseases, and become increasingly susceptible to infection. The consequences are fatal. Mares that no longer fall pregnant due to their poor physical condition go to the slaughterhouse, but many die beforehand, left on their own, out on the extensive terrain. A cruel, agonizing death. We find pastures covered with bones. Hungry mares stand between them. And again, injured horses. Their wounds are untreated. The consequences are serious. Insects infest the wounds and lay their eggs. Maggot infestation can kill. Repeated yawning shows that this horse is suffering from pain stress. The blood farmers don't invest in the health of their horses. Groups of young blood mares are purchased for a few dollars at auctions. Why treat injuries or relieve pain when replacements are so cheap to come by? It's a gruesome business that has no winners except the blood farmers and the pharmaceutical companies that profit by selling the red gold PMSG to pig breeders in the EU. PMSG products like Fixplan are marked by blood and untold suffering. Blood from tortured mares and the suffering of sows and piglets in industrial animal breeding. We want to put an end to this cruelty.